Hey, what I'm venturing into today's video, going to have a look at the weather next 8 to 10 days. In today's video, this takes us to around the 10th of February. Going to be a very unsettled period, especially from the weekend and into next week, when I think it could turn really quite stormy, potentially very wet as well. So the charts are going to be grim this morning for the end of the week, into the weekend, and then on into next week also. But with winds staying from the southwest, it should be relatively mild this week, turning a bit colder as we go through into next week. Well, if I get on with that, just to say about the ads, there's links to articles on all pages at Gas. So please have a browse through widgets and click through the links if there's any articles that you're interested in, and thanks very much for doing that. So there's video ads, so you open up the content, you watch it, close back up again, it helps to pay for the website. Thought we start off with the stratospheric one that we've been talking about for a little while. It's still on course, so this is the forecast for the stratosphere over North Pole from the GFS model from the website meteoseal.fr. This is for the 5th of February. You notice we've already got warming going on in the stratosphere over top of the North Pole. This is at the highest level of the atmosphere at 10 HPA. It's already there across Siberia, starting to stretch into the Arctic. And go on a few hours, the red colours begin to appear. A very big warming taking place there. Temperatures shooting up from the 5th, 6th into the 7th. That really is a very dramatic warming. It is penetrating into the very top of the North Pole as well. Can't sustain temperatures at that level indefinitely, so by the 9th we're beginning to lose the intensity of the warmth. But that really is a very dramatic push up in temperatures at the top layer of the atmosphere over North Pole from the 5th through to around the 7th of February. Now, the idea behind this is that if we propagate this warmth down into the stratosphere from the troposphere down lower into the lower level of the atmosphere in the troposphere where weather is taking place, the warmth can set up a bubble of high pressure, and over the pole that high pressure can start to push out the cold air into the mid-latitude. So essentially what we're looking for is blocking to appear over the Arctic as a result of this. Now, there's a few problems with this. One is that the warmth doesn't always propagate down, so you don't always warm it up in the layer of the troposphere from a stratospheric warming, so you've got to watch out to see whether this does go down into the troposphere. And then the other problem is that you never know where the blocking is going to set up, and of course if one place is on a cold side of an area of high pressure, another place will be on the mild side. So for instance, if this blocking was to set up over Canada or say Siberia or Asia, it's possible we could find ourselves placed on the mild side of the blocking area of high pressure, actually coming to an exceptionally mild spell of weather. So it's a little bit of a game changer what we're seeing, but it's by no means, or it could be a little bit of a game changer, but it's by no means a guarantee that we're going to get cold weather in a few weeks. There is a time delay as well. It takes 2 or 3 weeks, so we're probably talking end of February into March before the real effects of this would be felt. So have to wait and see how it all plays out, but I'll be keeping you posted on it. Right, let's get on with weather for the next 8-10 days. These are the 500 millibar height anomaly charts from the Penn State Meteorological Department in America. So we've got blue extrapolating to high pressure, and yellow, orange and red extrapolates to blue extrapolates to low pressure, and yellow, orange and red extrapolates to high pressure. These are for the next 8 to 10 days time. So what we see for the coming week to 10 days is essentially that we're placing a trough of low pressure right over top of the country. A ridge is away to the east and out in the Atlantic. The jet stream doing something like that. Cold shock coming in much of Central America there. Jet stream doing something like that. This is the ECMWF, by the way. It's basically Atlantic driven and very unsettled. That's a deep trough of low pressure which will be driving in a lot of rain. The jet stream is moving to the south here. The tight lines are indicating where the jet stream is, and that's generally going a little bit to the south of the country. So we are going on to the cold side of the jet within this area of low pressure. We'll be pushing some cold air down into it. It's not a desperately cold scenario by any means, but I think as we get through to the weekend, and particularly into next week, we will see the temperatures sliding away into something that feels a bit more like winter. So that's the east end of the Earth. The GFS is very, very similar. So again, we've got the jet stream moving to the south. We are going on to the cold side of the jet, at least for a while. And we've got this trough of low pressure almost over the top of the country, very deep trough, will allow some cold air to become entrenched into that trough of low pressure. But the main thing is that it's going to be very unsettled. There could be gale force winds with that and quite a lot of heavy rain as well. Have a look at the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles. We can see from the red line, which is the 30-year temperature average, that we are significantly above average. So today we've got a real mild push. It will turn colder through Tuesday and into Wednesday. So we'll feel a little bit cooler there. And then after that, we're going to be around the 30-year temperature average, which in an unsettled pattern is going to be still a little bit above average, particularly at night. Although it will be turning cooler day by day, I think, as we go through the weekend and into next week. Notice quite a lot of rainfall spikes coming through there, particularly over the weekend and into next week, where we could see some really quite big rainfall coming through indeed. The temperature anomalies for the coming week, looking like this, is from the 1st to the 9th of February. It's still generally milder than average. The precipitation anomaly comes out wetter than average, so mild and wet really sums it up, certainly up towards the weekend. Here's the GFS generic chart for Friday. We've got another area of low pressure coming in, could be turning stormy again on Friday, especially in the north and west. And then you just see how the trough deepens around the country. So this secondary feature just here could give a very wet and windy spell across many parts of the country as we go through into Saturday. We keep it very unsettled through into Sunday. There's yet another secondary feature winding itself up and no doubt heading in across the country, bringing more heavy rain. I think it'll be a very wet weekend across many parts of the country. As we go through into side of next week, we start to push this trough further eastwards, and that allows the winds to go into the north. So we start to bring colder air down from the north and the northwest early next week. I'm not sure how long that lasts. As we go up to day 10, we just keep areas of low pressure dumbbelling around the country, so it remains very unsettled. But you notice the jet stream is shifting southwards here with the black line. So we go onto the cold side of the jet. There's cold air being entrenched into this area of low pressure. So certainly for the north, I won't be ruling out quite a bit of snow from these areas of low pressure, probably more in the way of rain down in the south. But the main thing, I think, could be a very unsettled spell that's setting up here for the end of this week, over the weekend and into next week. We may have to start worrying a bit about flooding again. Have a look at the east end of the Earth again. It's all very similar, so turns increasingly unsettled with these really deep areas of low pressure as we go through the weekend. And on into next week, we keep it very unsettled as well. A bit of a colder shock coming through there on Tuesday. Tried to build a transient ridge on Wednesday, but the next area of low pressure is pushing in on Thursday. That's a very deep one as well. This is day 10, Thursday the 11th. Just more wet and windy weather sweeping in. And then finally, the GEM, the Canadian, very similar over the weekend. It turns very unsettled indeed with deep areas of low pressure, somewhere between around 965 to 980 millibars across the country. With some really heavy bands of rain coming through. That looks very alarming on Monday, a week today. 950 area of low pressure, millibar area of low pressure across Ireland. Really severe gales battering England and Wales, probably with bad. I think it's over the top. The other two models aren't predicting low pressure to go down to that kind of level and bring those kind of gales. But of course, with the very unsettled pattern that's setting up, it's not beyond the realm of impossibility, but we could get a real severe windstorm at some point in the next week to 10 days. Beyond that, the low pressure sweeps away to the east, turns winds into the north and northwest, so it turns colder for the start of next week. Day 10 looks like this, still very unsettled, We have got a little bit of ridging going on in the Atlantic, though, trying to get together with some sort of a ridge towards Greenland. So that is starting to entrench some much colder air down from the north into this trough of low pressure. We need to shove this eastwards, though, to really open the door to the coldest of the air. But just at day 10, there's a little bit of a hint there that things could be turning quite a bit colder. So we are looking at a continuation of this unsettled winter. It's been really wet and windy and unsettled since November. We're into February now, and we're still locked into this. So very unsettled conditions, particularly, I think, over the weekend and into next week. We could have some very wet weather indeed, and we may have to think a bit about flooding once again for the north and the west. It's just very wet, windy, unsettled conditions up to day 10. Tries to get a bit colder, and that may continue through into the middle part of the month. I've got Terry Scully's month-ahead forecast coming up on the website this evening, looking at the whole of February, so come back for that. But certainly the first week to 10 days really looking very unsettled indeed. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.